Hey everybody, it's John Hope Bryan. As you know, I never give up. Founder, Chairman, CEO of Operation Hope, America's first and largest nonprofit financial services network for the poor, the struggling class, the teetering class, those with too much month at the end of their money. We run that organization, which one of our branches is in 79 countries. It's Global Dignity, and I run 35 companies, grown it from nothing from Compton, California and South Central LA. So I'm not coming to you as some talking head, and certainly not an empty suit. I come to you as somebody who is not just has a PhD orientation, but a PhD orientation, and I know my facts and my stats. And I'm going to tell you right now, in non-emotional terms, where what happened to black banks, where we went wrong, and what we need to do next. Let me just make this very clear. I did a video earlier today, and I unpacked this a bit. But I'm going to tell you, so I'm not going to go back to that history. I will tell you that if you can create an account at a black bank, you should. So let me just make that very clear. I have accounts at black banks and mainstream banks, to be clear. I don't think picketing anybody is any kind of solution, particularly somebody who did you no harm. I think you should be about what you're for, not what you're against. So if you want to have an account at a black bank, and if you're African American, you should want to, then open an account at a black bank. But that is completely separate from wanting to build black wealth. I'll explain that in a minute, and what is going on in the community with regard to our banks. So there's no grand conspiracy to destroy black banks. Let me say this very clearly. Here's what happened. By the way, thank you, Janae Roscoe, for my Civil Rights swell bottle for our 25th anniversary. Hey, Cheryl and Tim joining. Okay, let's get into this. 1865. Please write this data down and share this video with those that you love, and replace our ignorance and our anger and our frustration with some real facts. I'm getting really short-tempered and irritated with people who don't do their research but have opinions and then affect other people with their negative view and discourage people from taking their life back. I will not tolerate it, because I've dedicated my life to us standing up a new vision for ourselves. Here are the facts. Please write them down. March 3rd, 1865, as I said earlier, we created, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass created a bank for former slaves called the Freedmen's Bank. There's a page on Facebook called the Freedmen's Bank. Go to that page, like it, follow it, do your research on the Freedmen's Bank. As some of you know, I went back to our government last year and asked them to rename the building that was at headquarters. It was Treasury Annex building, to rename it the Freedmen's Bank building, which we did January of last year. Thank you, Secretary of the Treasury, Jack Lew, and thank you, President Barack Obama, for doing that. And since that time, we've opened up Hope Inside locations across this country to try to finish what Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass began, and my goal is 1,000 Hope Inside locations, which, by the way, is a threat to many people, but I'll come back to that maybe in a minute, or maybe I won't. Here's the stats and the facts. 1865, bank gets stood up. 72,000 former slaves with industry and hard work in their vein, following what we now call 40 Acres and a Mule, which happened January of 1865 in Savannah, Georgia, Field Action 15. And that then led to the Mule, so 40 Acres and the Mule. That was February 1865. The bank came in March 1865. Abraham Lincoln gets assassinated of April 1865. Frederick Douglass goes on to run the bank using $10,000 of his own money, meaning he wasn't a broke man. So he wasn't an abolitionist. He was a businessman who took up the abolitionist cause. And this goes right to my point of what I'm talking about black wealth, creating black wealth and then using it for your own philanthropy, and asking not a person for a handout, but a hand up, and doing for yourself. There was a white man and a black man working together with the federal government to stand up a black bank for former slaves. 73,000 former slaves put accounts in this bank and raised $52 million, or about $100 billion today. Please write these numbers down. That would make that one of the largest banks in America today had it survived. The bank was gamed. It wasn't supported after Lincoln was assassinated. In 1874, that bank failed. What was that bank's mission? Was it a bank account for all? Was it, put money in a black bank? No, it was teaching former slaves about the free enterprise system. That's the mission of the bank, to quote, teach freed slaves about money. Please write this down. So incredibly important. The mission of this bank wasn't black power. By the way, if you got to say black power, you've got no power. Because when you got the power, you don't need to use it. You don't see anybody saying Asian power or Latino power or by saying Mexican power. No, people with power just going about the business, exercising it. So the bank was stood up. It did its job. It was gamed. Unfortunately, it was crippled. And it was said when that bank failed, Du Bois said the failure of that bank did more to set free slaves in America back than 10 more years of slavery. That's 1874. Here comes 1875, and Congress passes the Civil Rights Bill of that era. That Civil Rights Bill, watch the chronology here now, that Civil Rights Bill sparked a renewal of black independence and black empowerment in a sense for self and black determination and rights. And immediately following that came a surge of black bank creation and black small business creation. Did you hear that? After civil rights, we then pivoted to economics, rightly so, because we live in a free enterprise democracy. And I want to make sure I get these stats right. These come from the Federal Reserve and the FDIC. These two stats I'm going to give you. So the Freedmen's Bank had 37 branches after it was created. That's a very important stat that I want you to get embedded in your brain. But also I want you to get embedded in your brain that between 1867, so about 10 years, 12 years after the civil rights movement of the 1865s, here comes the civil rights movement of the 1800s. And between 1867 and 1917, there were the small black businesses went from 4,000 to 50,000. Thank you, Janae Roscoe of my government relations department, for confirming the data and helping with the research. I want you to focus on this now. We didn't curse nobody out. We didn't sing hymnals for justice. We didn't beg anybody. We didn't player hate anybody. We didn't hold up black power signs. We didn't do protest marches. No, we got to the business. Business people got about the business of creating black wealth by taking the civil rights gains and turning it into civil rights realities. And we went from 4,000 businesses in 1867 to 50,000 black-owned businesses in 1917. What happened at the same time? At the same time, you had between 1888, so 1 year after the surge in black businesses and 13 years after the Civil Rights Bill of the 1800s, from 1888 to 1934, you had 134 black banks created. Are you listening to me? Please let me know that you're getting this. This is so important. You had the freedom movement, then you had the civil rights and social justice movement, then you had folks focused on their financial independence and financial freedom, which is self-determination and ownership. You had this surge, not again in negative energy and plague-hating somebody, but you had this surge in self-reliance and intelligent thought process and freedom from the neck up versus fighting from the shoulders down. We'd already fought in the Civil War. We didn't need more of that. What we needed was our ownership and our opportunity. And the businesses, once we got focused, because there's nothing wrong with us, we're not dumb and we're not stupid. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know, which is why I'm going to deliver the memo this September in a new book that I think will lay this whole thing out. But there's nothing wrong with us, because whenever the playing field is level and the rules are published, for instance, sports, for instance, the arts, meaning entertainment, music, and movies, whenever the playing field is level and the rules are published, we excel because the finish line is simply the finish line. But in free enterprise, capitalism, and ownership, it doesn't work that way because it requires an understanding of the nuance of the game of free enterprise and capitalism, which nobody gave you the memo on or nobody taught you, because the bank that was stood up to do that was crushed when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated and Frederick Douglass did not have support. But still we rise. But still, even in spite of the fact that we didn't have all the tools we need, we didn't whine about it, we didn't complain about it, we didn't step off the playing field and say we were victims, we said we were victors. And still, after the Civil Rights Bill of 1875, which, by the way, the Civil Rights Bill of the 1960s that Dr. King and Andrew Young worked on and other leaders, was modeled after the 1960 Civil Rights Bills, 4 of them, were modeled after the 1875 Civil Rights Bill. Are you listening to me? And very much like Dr. King pivoted to money with the Poor People's Campaign in 1968 after his civil rights wins, the leaders in 1870s pivoted to economics and poverty eradication and empowerment after the civil rights bills of 1875. Unfortunately, Lincoln, what happened to Dr. King was the same thing that happened to Lincoln. When they pivoted to something critical, they were taken off the field, they were assassinated. Nobody messed with Dr. King when he's talking about civil rights. Nobody messed with Dr. King when he's talking about social justice. But when he started talking about wealth creation, poverty eradication, and the Nobel Peace Prize winner as a pastor, a man of the cloth, I understand his thought of redistribution of wealth, they took him off the stage that same year, before the first march. Back to the story. 1875, here comes the civil rights bill of that era. 1865, the bank that before that stood up a mission to teach free slaves about money, bring us into the free enterprise system. 2 months before that was 40 acres and a mule to finance the bank designed to finance the land and the industry and the feedstock and the machinery needed to grow wealth on that land. Here comes 1875, the civil rights bill. Here comes 1886, the surge in small businesses from 4,000 minority-owned businesses, black-owned businesses, all the way up to 1970, 40,000 black-owned businesses. And paralleling that at the same time, here comes blacks who have made a little money, saved a little money, put money into stock ownership. Now, not just opening a bank account, okay? Stock ownership in their own financial institutions. And before you start player hating so-called mainstream and white institutions, where do you think some of that capital came from? For these black-owned banks, you think the black people did it all by themselves, came from nothing with no wealth, and they did it all by themselves? You are mistaken. By the way, the NAACP founded by blacks and whites. The National Urban League founded by blacks and whites. Operation Hope founded by blacks, whites, and other. In other words, nothing happens in fact, if you want to segregate your heart, you cannot segregate your heart, integrate your pocket. I'm gonna repeat it. You cannot segregate your heart, close it off, say black only, and integrate your pocket and say, I want money from everybody. It doesn't work that way. So you had entrepreneurs that day who put their own dollar down and invited other people to join them in that regard. And that surge created 134 black-owned businesses, black-owned banks, I'm sorry. At the height, we had 134 black banks from 1888 to 1934. What happened in 1934? The Great Depression. So it wasn't the white man holding you down. It wasn't the Ku Klux Klan. It wasn't some great conspiracy. It was the Great Depression took everybody out. And then after the Great Depression, you actually even had 11 banks that stood up after the Great Depression and said, how you like me now? And surged into existence. But because we did not have the financial literacy, the new civil rights issue is financial literacy. And because we did not have the resiliency, the economic and mental resiliency, we didn't have the bank account, the wealth in our pocket, and then we didn't have the knowledge about sophisticated finance in our heads. Not because we're dumb or stupid, because nobody gave us the memo on money. We could not bounce back like everybody else. And so our numbers stayed depressed on black banks. And now we're going to take you all the way up. I'm going to give you some stunning statistics. I want you to write this stuff down. And by the way, all these folks talking about down with the white banks, I don't even know what a white bank is. But you got to understand, most of the banks that exist today have white investors or mainstream bank investors who are investing in those institutions right alongside of you. Go look at their stock ownership. Don't trust me. So let's stop with all this utopian crazy talk and get on with the business of the color. The real color is green. It's not about white, black, red, brown, or yellow. It's about green, getting you some more green. It's about building you some wealth. I want you to open a bank account, yes, at a black bank. I want you to build you some wealth, which is why I'm trying to get your credit score up, okay? So you can become a homeowner, an entrepreneur, and a small business owner, so you can do what they did in the 1800s, which is to help themselves. When the black bank needed some capital, you write your own check, deposit your own check, and get your own stock certificate to own the bank yourself so you can influence what the bank's decisions are, influence their underwriting criteria, and influence your neighborhood, and you turn your philanthropy back on your own community. Don't play or hate somebody else, because if you hate somebody else, capital runs. Capital that's scared leaves your neighborhood. You need every ounce of investment capital that's legitimate coming into your neighborhood. It is completely ridiculous to send somebody away because you don't like the hue of their skin. How you like when somebody did that to you? Didn't feel so good, did it? So because we had thin financial literacy, and what I'm telling you now, our real problem is that we didn't embrace the new civil rights issue. The new civil rights issue for the 21st century is financial literacy. What did Andrew Young say? Ambassador Andrew Young said, after the civil rights movement, we integrated the lunch counter, but we never integrated the dollar. And here's what Andrew Young said recently. To live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. I'm going to repeat that. To live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. And that's why you have urban inner city neighborhoods that you and I love that are 500 credit score neighborhoods filled with decent, amazing, brilliant people, hardworking, who can't get ahead and are preyed on by check cashers and payday loan lenders and rent-to-own stores and title lenders and liquor stores who know you're financially illiterate, know you're depressed, know you're angry, know you want to forget about your tomorrow, know that you're not happy about your today, and know that you don't have a background to gird you up, so then they rob you in broad daylight. And what Malcolm X said, we've been bamboozled, we've been tricked, we've been fooled. So now to give you the shocking numbers. Write these numbers down, please. Don't give me rhetoric. Don't give me your pious speeches. Don't come at me with emotionalism about what John Bryant's doing, partnering with white banks. This stuff drives me crazy. By the way, he partnered with 7 black banks. There's only 24 that exist in the country. Nobody says a thing about that. And by the way, Daddy King served on the board of a bank for 40 years, Citizens Trust Bank, which had investors from white and black America. And because he was making money, Dr. King did not have to make a salary. Dr. King worked for free, because Daddy King would bail him out of jail and Daddy King would pay his salary, and Daddy King was the one who financed his PhD. You cannot distribute money like a socialist before you first collect money like a capitalist. That's Shimon Peres told me that in Jordan. But here are the numbers and the statistics for those who say that somehow what's happening today is crushing the black bank movement. Okay, no. What's crushed the black bank movement is black folks stop investing in black banks. Okay? Black folks walked away from black banks. Black folks did not invest in black banks. And black folks had a thin financial statement that allowed them to gird up black banks because we never got our financial literacy, which is what the point that I was making back to 1865. Without your financial literacy, you are done. You are through. You will never make it. And all of this other stuff is just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Here's the stats. Write them down. ...2001, 48 black banks in America. What did I tell you about 1886, 87? 134 black banks. Between 1887, I believe, in 1917. Okay. 2001, 48 black banks. That was the Bush administration. 2009, 37 black banks. See which way the arrow's going? That's President Barack Obama. 2012, 30 black banks. 2016, 25 black banks. 2017, 24 black banks. Are you seeing a trend, ladies and gentlemen? Now, in 2001, okay, I didn't even have a vision for how to turn this thing around. I didn't even get in this game until 2012, but yet somehow I'm the focus of some conversation about the future of black banking. No. Let's take responsibility for our mess. We didn't get the memo on money. We've been focusing on civil rights and not civil rights too. We've not been taking care of the business in our community. And what we've got to do now is get serious about what they had a plan for in the 1860s, which is taking our lives back, remove this emotion out of your deal, remove the blame out of your deal, and understand this. When you're dealing with Goldman Sachs, you're dealing with the Lehman Brothers when they existed, you're dealing with, I can name a dozen minority institutions you're not aware are minority institutions, but they're not holding up signs saying black power or Jewish power or Hispanic power. Popular community banks not holding up a sign saying only Latino customers. No, they want business from, it's common sense, from everybody. And then when they make their money, they put it in their pocket, they go home, and then they go to their community and invest in real estate in their neighborhood, in business in their neighborhood, in philanthropy in their neighborhood, in institutions in their neighborhood, and in banks that serve their neighborhood. Did you get it? We got it backwards. We got the emotion up front, we got the hate up front, we got the protests and the slogans up front, we got all this crap up front of black power, all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, the numbers have been going in the wrong direction for, it appears, 20 years. I'm sorry, since the Great Depression, okay? But certainly these numbers show you, these are not my numbers, these are the FDIC. From 54 banks in the year 2001 to 24 black banks today, because our habits are incorrect. It's really just that simple. We need to correct our habits, and that is to get your financial literacy, get your financial resiliency, get the memo on money and free enterprise and capitalism. If you can't get a job, create a job. Join. You can't win the game. You don't step off the field. You learn. You double your efforts, and you master this game, which is what I'm trying to teach you in my Hope Inside locations. So what am I doing at Hope Inside? I'm trying to come at you and give you an end run. I'm going into banks and credit unions and grocery stores and big box retailers and houses of faith and hospitals and hotels, even police departments. I'm going in and teaching financial literacy. We're teaching the language of money. We're helping you become a small business owner. We're helping you become an entrepreneur. We're helping you become a stakeholder. Get your confidence up, your self-esteem up, help you get your hope up, and most of all, help you get your credit score up, okay? Because there's nothing, I'm going to repeat it. I hope you don't get worn out with me saying this. Some of you know what I'm about to say. There's nothing that changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. The problem, ladies and gentlemen, is not a white man on a horse, meaning the Ku Klux Klan. It's a cutoff notice, okay, in your mailbox. It's not about 40 acres and a mule and keep talking about something that's 200 years old almost. It's 40 books in a bank account. We need to read a book, okay? We need to open a bank, and then we need to invest some money, and when you make $1, you make 90 cents, take that 10 cents and invest it in yourself, and open a stock account, open some real estate, buy some real estate, buy in your neighborhood, stop renting uptown and buy downtown in your neighborhood, and stop hating and playing on and letting people play your emotions to get you all worked up and get you off your game, and get very serious about taking your communities back. And if I can get your credit score up to 700, guess what? Nobody's going to discriminate against you. Because now you're not a black customer anymore. You're not a Latino customer anymore. You're not an Asian customer anymore. You're not an Indian customer anymore. You're a good customer. Boom. Drop the mic. Nobody checks your race when you pull up on a computer and you put in your social security number and a 710 credit score comes in. They just say, thank you, Lord, you're approved. I guarantee you. 700 credit score communities also don't riot, ladies and gentlemen. Only 500 credit score communities riot. Of every race. 500 credit score communities that are white and rural riot at the ballot box. You should have seen that last November. And 500 credit score communities in the inner city riot literally. And it's all depression. 700 credit score communities don't riot. You've never been a 700 credit score community that's rioted in America's history. So we can get you to build your wealth, and we can get you to get your confidence up, and we can get you to get your self-esteem up, and we can get you to get your hope up, and we can get you to see the glasses half full and not half empty. If I can get you to get your credit score up, so that now you can fight for your silver rights. No, you don't even need to fight. You just gently present. And now your dreams come true. And now you build equity in your home. Now you build equity in your cash flow in your business. And now you can go create a bank in your local neighborhood. You don't need to play and hate nobody. You don't need to down somebody. And now when you go to create a bank in your own community, you better hope and pray that you're still friends with those big banks that are uptown in the city that need that community reinvestment act credit of investing in your bank. As a partner with you, you better hope you didn't upset them and call them all kind of crazy names, because you're going to need big dollars and big checks to grow your movement like everybody else in the world, by the way. Everybody uses leverage. Everybody has investors if you're going to grow something. And all of this conversation about we can do it for ourselves, if we could have, we would have already. There is $1 trillion of black spending power in America plus. But 0.4%, this number is so low it's hard for me to say it. Less than 1% of all that spending power are in black banks. $4 billion. Stop the rhetoric. Let's stop the mouthing off and the talking and the protesting. It's exhausting. And get to the business of taking our lives back. Nobody wants to hear our drama anymore, including me. What Quincy Jones told me, we need a moratorium on childhood trauma and all the other things that are bad in our life. I mean, is racism real? Yes, racism is like rain. It's either falling somewhere or it's gathering. So we better get out an umbrella in a color we like and start strolling through it, because it's not going to change, so we must. We've got to get serious, ladies and gentlemen, about taking our lives back. We gotta banish this stupidity, banish non-facts, banish emotions. Keep your emotions in your relationship, not on your balance sheet, not in your business decisions. And we got to come at this like it's a math class. I'm telling you, you want to find out where all your problems are in America? Go to a 300 credit score neighborhood, 400 credit score neighborhood, 500 credit score neighborhood. I guarantee you, I'll bet my net worth on it. It's where all your homicides are. It's where your hypertension and your high blood pressure is. It's where your heart attacks are. It's where your high crime rates are. It's where your high school dropouts are. It's where your low college attainment is. Do you know that like 70% of black folks going to HBCUs are black females? Brothers, we got to show up. 70% of HBCU attendees are black women. We need to do something more than run our mouths. We need to go get us some education, and we need to go get us that bank account and read a book. We got to make smart sexy again and start taking our communities back to something other than running our mouths at 2 in the morning on a so-called internet network when they don't have a job, right? We got to get back to the basics. And I mean building something from the ground up. And if I sound angry, I am not. What I should sound to you is passionate and focused and unrelenting. And this is my 25th anniversary of Operation Hope. Imagine what I sounded like when I first started it. I've been at this 25 years, and I'm more excited today, and I'm more passionate, and I'm more focused than ever before. And what I figured out is the formula. That's why I'm so unrelenting. That's why I won't refuse to deal with crap and BS anymore. I'm unrelenting because I've figured out what it takes to win. And I'm trying to give that memo to you, and I want you to give that memo to others. So here's what I want you to do. And then I thank you for letting me ramble here. I'm going to come back. I sound passionate, Leroy. Yes, I am passionate. I'm giving you everything I've got. I want to come back to the questions. I hope you don't mind me going on like this, because I want to lay the facts out in the stacks. But let me tell you, and I'm going to get into the details of Operation Hope in a couple of days on our 25th anniversary, May 5th. So I'm not going to do that here. But let me tell you that I've said that we're going to have 1,000 Hope Inside locations, and I have orders for 465 today. They're opening a location at least every week. Urban and rural, black and white. Yeah, I said black and white. I said it because we don't want to do with somebody else what they've done to us. We got to stop this madness and start working with all of God's children, because a house divided cannot stand. We got to start lifting each other up and creating a business plan for the prosperity and the rest of our lives. And if you don't like what I'm doing, you go do something else yourself. I like what I'm doing much better than what other people are not doing. How's that sound? I like what I'm doing much better than what other folks are not doing. Most people just running their dang on mouth and not producing a thing. Not a single tangible thing. 3 million clients at Operation Hope. $2.5 billion invested in inner cities. Opening a Hope Inside every week at no cost to the public, and all the services are free. But what do I get? Mouth. It's all good. Luckily, I got a high self-esteem and a good sense of humor. So I hope that was good. I'm going to retire for the rest of my evening and go do something that relieves my mind. But I'm going to answer some of these questions before I go. Come to Portland, please. That's Cheryl. Okay? I guess that means I didn't waste your time. Cheryl Fuches, I think is your name. I will come to Portland. Please come to Milwaukee. Marvin Bell. Yes. Sadoy, you are the man, John. Thank you. I'm inspired by you. June Joseph. Yes, it was. I guess worth your time. Kim Wilson, I like what you are doing and saying. Keep it going. Thank you very much. Speak Strategy, that's Rosalind. Candace, thank you, and you have a sense of humor. I bet it. If you don't have a sense of humor, you will go crazy. You better learn to laugh at everything. Are you in Ohio? Eureka, yes, we are in Ohio. Ms. Spencer Thomas, we are in Ohio. Go to Operation Hope, find your location. Appreciate you in Milwaukee. Irene, thank you very much. What do I do to start? Des Reed. Go to Operation Hope. I don't know what you want to start, but you can become a Hope Corps volunteer. You can join Operation for $25 a year. We make it real easy. Volunteer for free. We'll train you. And we're in 4,000 inner city schools teaching financial literacy. And I'm on this march for 1,000 Hope Inside locations. Join the civil rights movement. You know what everybody can here do? Go to your Facebook page. Share this video on your page. We share these little crazy videos of people, I can't even say what they're doing, but real, hip hop this and that, the Kardashian show. God, I'm not hating on that. God bless them. But we share all that stuff. Share this. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. Tell them to like this page. Tell them to follow this movement. And watch the 200 videos I put in the library at John Hope Bryant Live, which are all free, designed to help you change your life. Love your work. Thank you. Thank you back. Okay. Dontario Holloway. Oh, that was a great question. Just went away. I'll try to come back and answer that a little later. I've learned a lot listening to you. That Cheryl Penny want to become a Hope Ambassador in New Jersey. June Joseph, thank you very much. Yes, go to one of my lieutenants at Operation Hope. Shared while you were talking, Candace Pascal. Already shared. Mark. Oh, you already shared it. Thank you. Come to New Orleans. Open a John Hope Bryant something. I think you mean a Hope Inside location. Are we in New Jersey? Yes. In fact, we're with a black bank in New Jersey. City National Bank in New Jersey. Brother who runs that bank is brilliant, and we partner with him in Whole Foods. Tim Burke, come to Kansas City. I will. Tim Burke, people bump their jaws, don't change laws. You do more sleep than 1,000 awake. Tim Burke, man, you just made my day. Dontario, in order for the black-owned banks to catch up with where other banks are, we have to go through the growth struggle with them to help them grow. Yes. Yes, they will have fees and may not have all the same features of other big banks. Yes, that's right. Those banks went through their growth struggle a long time ago. Stick it out with these banks. Dontario, you got it right. Dontario Holloway. I have accounts at black banks. I don't ask them to meet the same interest rate requirements as the major banks who've got scale. I don't give them a hard time. I don't even call them with any requests. I put the money on deposit and I keep it moving. I have 2 black banks that I support. Meanwhile, I'm also doing a Robin Hood move. I'm taking from the big banks and bringing them into inner city neighborhoods, and they're reducing my costs by not charging me any money to be in their branch locations, reducing their involvement. And by the way, there are a lot of very honorable big banks. I mean, I don't understand this whole thing about, would you rather have a black thief than a white saint? I mean, I'm saying you got black saints and white thieves. Yeah, but if you find a white saint and you got a black thief next to him, which one do you want? I mean, to me, that's just common sense. Give me the saint. I don't care what color you are. We have got to stop this ridiculous conversation as if race gives you some pass to be an idiot, okay? You can't be black for a living anymore. I love competence, who happens to be black. I don't know about you. Yes, Reed, Eureka said that. I take notes from you all on all your videos. This is Veronica. All right, I love you much. I love you a lot. This is the civil rights movement. This is video number 2 for today. I need to stop. The victim no more. Spending power doesn't equate to true economic power when the money is disorganized and not concentrated. That's exactly right. In fact, black dollars don't even circulate in the black community. It doesn't make one turn before it's out. And everybody else took their money and circulates it in their own community. I don't know why we get upset with anybody else. We give ourselves a lecture. But this is what depressed people do, right? We look for a victim, right? Because we don't want to, we're walking around with PTSD. I think that 70% of black America, understandably so, after 250 years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow, ending in 1970, not 1870, is probably clinically undiagnosed depressed. We need a psychologist and a shrink, not a new protest line. And I've gone to therapy. I ain't got no problem telling you that. I've gone to therapy a couple times coming in my life. It did me a lot of good. All a therapist is a paid friend. Okay? And we all need to go get us some therapy, and we need to get us some help, and we need to love ourselves back into spiritual, emotional, intellectual health, and then take our lives back. I'm out. Talk to you later.